Hey friend, welcome on in. My name is Aubrey. I use she, her pronouns. I am the CEO and founder of Pilates Body. We are a mobile Pilates service based in the East Coast. Thank you so much for tuning in today. All right, my friends, we are working on hip mobility today. I have a sideline glute series that I absolutely love to do. We will be doing it on our mats. I'm choosing to set up my mat today on my reformer, but you can set up your mat wherever you are. I'm also choosing to use my TheraBand, which I typically use in my videos. You can follow along with a normal traditional resistance band that's already kind of in a closed circle. You can also choose to follow along with no resistance band at all. I promise you, I have done this routine several times with absolutely no band, and I still feel that you still get the same benefits, all right? So if you're using any type of resistance band, always making sure we're checking it for any rips, any tears. We're looking pretty good. All right, my friends, so I'm gonna start with a bit of a hip opener, a hip stretch. You can follow along, again, with or without resistance. So coming onto one side now, for our hip opener, hip stretch, I'm choosing to come onto my forearm to get started. You may also choose to support your head with your hand, or you may choose to use your arm as a pillow. See what feels best for you. I'm gonna be on my forearm. I'm gonna keep my bottom knee stacked in, nice and bent like a kickstand, and I'm gonna take my top leg long. So to demo the move without any resistance band, going into our hip opener stretch, I'm gonna bring my leg up as far as feels good for me. Maybe flexing and pointing my foot to get started. And then when I'm ready, I'm gonna start to bring my knee in towards my shoulder and then extend back out. So bringing my knee in towards my shoulder and extending back out. This is a great hip opener stretch. Nice and gentle here, not overly exerting anything. Already feeling some movement. Maybe if I want to deepen that stretch, I will come down to my side here and then continue to bring that knee in and then extend that leg long. If you'd like to see it with resistance as well, I'll come up, taking my resistance band here, placing it over the arch of one foot. That bottom knee is going to stay stacked in. I'm gonna hold on to my resistance band here with one hand. Maybe bringing that knee in, maybe bringing that fist down to the mat. That feels good. And just bend and extend. So those are our options here for our hip opener. On this side for 3. For 2. And 1. Carefully removing that strap here, coming up and switching sides. So it's that same move on the opposite side. I am choosing to use my resistance band. You may choose to use your traditional resistance band for this move, or again, no resistance at all. Just bending that knee in and extending that leg up. Taking whatever variation you need, maybe adding a bit of a hamstring stretch by flexing and pointing the feet. Whatever feels good for you. Deepening that stretch however you'd like, maybe supporting your head with your hand or coming all the way down onto that arm pillow. We're here for 2 more. We're here for 1. All right, my friends, we're gonna stay on this side. I'm gonna come up briefly just so I can adjust my resistance band, but we're going to be staying on this side. Taking my resistance band because it is open, I'm going to be taking it around my thighs and tying it into a bit of a bow. If you already have a traditional resistance band, you'll just slide that resistance band onto your outer thighs here. Always making sure that resistance band, whatever you're using, is a few inches away from your knees. We don't want that resistance band on our knees. We have plenty of room here. So we're gonna place that resistance band on our thighs. And again, always feel free to follow along, especially if you're just starting out with no resistance whatsoever. It's the same moves, you're still getting the benefits. All right, my friends, so I'm choosing to stay on my forearm here for a practice. When we're on our forearm, super duper important that we make sure our elbow is aligned with our shoulder the entire time. When we naturally kind of fall out of alignment here, this is not gonna feel good after a while, and it's definitely not gonna feel good tomorrow, okay? Also wanna check in to make sure our hips are stacked. Now, when I say hips are stacked, I'm saying my hips are stacked one on top of the other, which means my knees are stacked one on top of the other. This also means my rib cage is stacked one on top of the other, and my shoulders are stacked one on top of the other. We always wanna make sure, friends, that we are practicing alignment to the best of our ability in our Pilates practice because that's what it's there for, okay? I like to take my top hand and place it on my hip. I do this because as we begin to practice, hips naturally are gonna begin to move around. So if my hips fall out of alignment, I'm gonna feel it. I'm able to stack myself back up. But if at any point throughout the routine, you need to give yourself some support, always place that hand down on your mat in front of you. All right, my friends, so we are going to start with our clamshell. So I am super gluing the blades of my feet, the sides of my feet together, making sure I'm all nice and stacked here, however comfortable. I'm going to begin to lift my top knee up like a book and control back down. I'm lifting up, controlling back down. Think of coming up with control, and we're not letting that knee just flop back down. We're taking our time as we come back down. We're here for 3 more. Making sure we're always breathing, friends. We're here for 2. We're here for 1. If you're comfortable in this position, staying here. If you'd like to add on, we're gonna go into an elevated clamshell. So that means we're still super gluing the blades of our feet together, but we're lifting those feet up, coming into an elevated clamshell. Taking what works best for you today. Still breathing. We're here for 3. We're here for 2. We're here for 1. Beautiful job, my friends. Bringing those feet down if you had them up. Still in our position here, I'm gonna bring my top leg, my top knee in line with my hip. So I'm gonna say hip height. So from my hip all the way to my knee is a straight line. So my leg isn't up too high and it's not all the way down. It's right there at hip height to the best of my ability. I'm gonna begin to lift my leg up just a few more inches and control it back down, stopping at hip height. So we're in our lower and lifts, breathing, my friends. It doesn't get easier if we hold our breath, I promise you. Just lifting that leg up as far as feels good, where we can keep our hips stacked. If you start to feel your hips begin to dip back, you may be going too far. So checking in here as we lower and lift. We're here for 3. We're here for 2. We're here for 1. I'm gonna stop, keeping my knee in line with my hip, so I'm not bringing that knee all the way down. Holding here, we're gonna go into some knee sweeps, as I call them. So you wanna think of kind of bringing your knee in towards your body and then stacking that knee back up. Very similar to leg sweeps, if you're familiar, or keeping that knee bent just for today. That could be another series. So we're kind of bringing that knee in towards the body as far as feels good, trying to keep that hip height, and then stacking that knee back up. Spicy. 3 more here. We're here for 2. We're here for 1. I'm gonna bring that knee, stacking it back up, and I'm just gonna hold. And our static hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Maybe bringing that leg down just for a second. I'm already feeling it. I like to pat out the glutes whenever I need to, giving them a bit of love. And when you're ready, friends, we're going right back into it. We're still on this side for a few more. So starting with that knee at hip height, I'm going to begin to tap my knees together. That's my internal rotation. And then I'm gonna begin to tap my toes together. That's my external rotation. This is our knee taps and our toe taps. They sound funny, they look funny, but you start to feel it and you start to feel it quickly. In our knee taps and our toe taps. Internal rotation, so that foot is lifting. When we're in our external rotation, those toes are tapping together, that knee is lifting up. Just a few more here. Making sure we're breathing. For 3. For 2. And 1. Bring that knee hip height. We hold here. We're gonna go into some knee circles. So I'm gonna think of circling my knee in one direction. So think of drawing a circle with your knee. Doesn't matter which side, because you know we're gonna do both. We're here for 3, 2, 1, reverse. Going that opposite direction. So drawing those knee circles in that opposite direction here. For 3, 2, and 1. Bring that knee hip height, we hold. Bring that knee hip height, we hold here. The last one on this side, I promise you, we're gonna go into some windshield wipers. So again, that alignment between my knee and my hip, I'm gonna think of my foot and my shin here as a windshield wiper. So I'm trying to keep my knee still as I tap my toes down and bring my toes back up. It's a funky move. It's called windshield wipers. So we wanna think of our toes and our shin here as the windshield wiper. That knee is doing its best to stay in line with the hip. This one builds up quickly, so we're not here for long. We're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Whew. Tapping that glute out as we need to. Coming up just for a moment here, going into a figure four stretch before we get to the other side because we deserve it. So option to go into your figure four stretch laying down on your mat. I'm just keeping my resistance band on, just kind of moving it out of the way a little bit. I like to think of taking one ankle and crossing it over my knee. Just breathing here, maybe pushing into that knee a little bit. Maybe flexing and pointing the ankle. Ooh, okay. Snap, crackles, and pops today. If it's comfortable, maybe you bring that opposite leg in towards the body. Our goal is to feel a nice stretch right along the side of the body here, right along those sides of the glutes. Option to bring the opposite leg up towards the ceiling if that feels good. Maybe flexing, pointing the opposite foot, whatever you need, friends. We're just taking a bit of a stretch here before we move on to the other side. Maybe rocking side to side if that feels good. And when you're ready, friends, getting ourselves set up for our opposite side. Whatever we do to one side, we got to do to the other. Taking my top hand, I'm going to choose to place it on my hip if I ever need it. I'm going to place it on my mat. The blades of my feet are super glued together, lifting that top knee up like a book, controlling back down for our clamshell. Maybe feeling a little bit more familiar with the moves now. Maybe even finding a little bit more space in our hip flexors. We're on this side for 3, for 2, and 1. Bringing that knee about hip height, going into our lower and lifts, stopping when that knee is in line with our hip. Going as far as feels good, where we keep those hips nice and stacked. I love a sideline glute series. It's great, for the glutes, of course, but also it helps with our overall hip mobility. Hip mobility is super important on a day-to-day basis for literally everyone. Our hips are what help us walk, what help us stand, what help us sit, what help us carry our weight, carry things. And we hold a lot of tension in our hips on a normal day. We're here for 2. We're here for 1. Going right into our knee sweeps. So bringing that knee in towards the body, stacking that leg back up. So we always want to make sure that we're giving our hips a little bit of movement, a little bit of love, ideally every day, but definitely every week. Because our hip mobility impacts our overall stability, which impacts the way that we stand, the way that we walk, the way that we run, the way that we sit. We need our hips every single day, and they need us. We're here for 3. We're here for 2. We're here for 1. Stacking that knee at hip height in our static hold. Ooh, why is this the most difficult move out of all of them? Just standing still. Ooh, maybe bringing that leg down, breathing here, hiding out the glutes if we need to. And when you're ready, friends, bringing that leg back up. That knee is in line with the hip. We go into our knee taps and our toe taps. Tapping those knees together, internal rotation, toes together, external rotation. Knee taps, foot lifts, toes tap, knees lift. Checking in to make sure that we're stacked. I constantly have to check in and make sure my hips are stacked when I tap the other. We're here for 3. We're here for 2. We're here for 1. In our last set of moves here, our windshield wiper. So again, trying to keep that knee in line with that hip. We want to think about our foot and our shin as the windshield wiper itself. So tapping that foot down, trying to keep that knee as still as possible, and we come back up. Notice if we feel any differences on one side, one leg, one glute, one hip flexor over the other. Perfectly normal. We are all naturally imbalanced. And again, we favor one side over the other on a day-to-day basis when we're sitting, standing, driving. So that is why we want to make sure that we are moving our hips around, checking in to see if we feel one side being stronger than the other, things such as that. Helps us to bring awareness into our bodies and into our everyday lives, creating for intentional movement. We're here for 3. We're here for 2. I definitely struggle with this side. We're here for 1. And last in our series, friends, knee circles. So circling that knee, keeping that foot nice and bent here in one direction for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reverse. Here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Whew. Carefully bringing that leg back down, Patting out the glutes. When you're ready, coming onto our backs for our figure four stretch. Oh, goodness gracious. Maybe bringing that ankle in line with our knee. Pressing into the opposite knee if that feels good. Maybe rocking side to side if that's within your practice. Maybe we'll bring our opposite leg in as far as that feels good. Whew, definitely feeling it on this side today. Lifting and lowering the opposite leg. Doing whatever we need at the tail end of our practice. All right, carefully, my friends. We're gonna remove that resistance band, however we have it on. Placing it to the side, I'm going to stack myself up into my tabletop position, making sure wrists are in line with shoulders, knees are in line with hips. I'm actually gonna begin to take my knees just a little bit wider, maybe bringing my toes together as I go into my child's pose. Option to extend those arms nice and long, or you may choose to be on your forearms. Breathing here, taking whatever you need, maybe rocking side to side, and getting into those hips a little bit more. If this is good for you here, staying here. If you'd like to add on, I'm gonna come back into my tabletop position. Very briefly, I'm gonna tuck my toes. I'm going to come up into a downward dog, so my booty is reaching up towards the ceiling. Maybe pedaling out the feet if that feels good. Maybe shaking my head yes. Shaking my head no. And carefully coming back into my tabletop before stacking myself back up. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today. I hope your hips and glutes are feeling a lot better. I know mine are. Please feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye.